Welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women podcast, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard, and this is our sanctuary, a space built on the belief that when Black women show up for each other, we don't just survive, we save. This is more than a podcast, it's a movement. So let's get into it. We have a super exciting episode today. I can't wait to interview this week's guests, Lauren Paige Woulard. But first, let's get into this week's fail-forward files. So with the fail-forward files, every week I share a failure that I actually experienced and the impact it has had on what I am doing and how I am taking it to move forward. So for this week's fail-forward file, I'm actually talking about my own finances. So I have a confession to make, okay? I have a tendency now to put a lot of things on my credit card. Very, very much more so than I did when I was actually working my 9 to 5. Part of it is because it gives me like the appearance that things are still okay. That I am not in this restrictive financial situation because I have these extraordinary lines of credit that I'm dealing with. But what I am quickly learning every month when I sit down and do my bills and write down my balances, that I can't keep spending. Like I have my regular 9 to 5 paycheck coming in. And I need to come to grips with that reality. So I am struggling from the perspective of not trying to keep up with appearances. I've never been that type of person, but I'm struggling with trying to come to terms that life's just not the same. So one way that I kind of rectify that within myself is, I'll still go and take, maybe a crazy class that I want to take, or I'll still go and have a really nice dinner because I had a really bad day or a rough day. And I can't keep doing that. And, with the holidays fastly approaching, I really, really need to get a grasp on that. So, I took a step back. One, I took most of the credit cards that were in my wallet out of my wallet. And I'm putting myself on a budget. And it's not like I've never budgeted before, but like I have to be more realistic of where I'm at right now. I can't be the girlfriend that has it or take care and pull out my credit card and treat everyone like I used to do. I just don't have it. And I think saying it out loud in this space relieves some of the pressure that I feel. I don't want to say fronting, but it is kind of like friend, like you still got it. Like I am not making my 6 figures anymore. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I am rebuilding a whole nother business besides my test prep business. I'm trying to stand up a coaching business. I'm doing this podcast. And guys, everything is not going to be quick money. And I know that. So what I am learning is that you got to stop running from your money and face it head on. And, just be okay with where you're at right now. There's no shame in it. I'm Kamika Dillard, certified ACC professional coach and CEO of 𝗟𝗂𝗿𝗲 Coaching. At 𝗟𝗂𝗿𝗲 Coaching, professional growth isn't one size fits all. That's why we've created 3 ways to support you. DOT for building clarity and direction, RISE for resilience and intentional action, and VISION for long-term strategy and leadership. Each program is designed to help you move through setbacks with confidence and clarity and create momentum that lasts. No pressure, no hustle, just real progress. Ready to explore what's possible? Book a free discovery call at 𝗟𝗂𝗿𝗲coaching.com. So that is my plug for the week while also talking about my own failures. If you want to be more in my business, drop me a note. I'm happy to talk more in depth about my finances, my debt, my money that I have in the bank, how I'm going through this transition of now going on month 5 or 4 of being officially laid off. And the first time ever being laid off during the holidays is what I really also realized. I've never had to kind of be strict with myself around this time. I'm very giving. So reach out. I'm happy to talk about it. Moving on. So Very excited about this week's guest. Very, very excited about this week's guest. So, Lauren Paige Woulard is a powerhouse publicist and communication executive known for leading press strategy at Showtime slash MTV Entertainment Studios and driving campaigns for major brands and award winning projects. A Howard University alum, the real HU, my best friend went there, I have to say it, and a New Orleans native, one of my favorite cities. She's been recognized as a distinguished communicator of color and one of Cablefax's most powerful women in media. Welcome to the sanctuary, Lauren Paige Woulard. How's it going, sis? I am so excited to have you here. I've been wanting to have our conversation since our intake call a few weeks ago. How are you doing, sis?
I am doing good, in this season of change and everything. I've just been focusing on the good. So I start every day saying, I am good, I will be good. So I am good.
I love that. I am good. I will be good. So I am good. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So, sis, we are here to have the conversation about the things that are happening in the world.
hmm
So, Lauren, unfortunately, was one of the 350,000, I think we're up to 500K at this point, Black
Oh.
women that have lost their jobs this year. So, I want to hear about your story. So, tell us what happened, when it happened, and I really want you to share with them some of the details of when you found out you were being let go.
Yeah, for sure. So, um, as Kamika stated, I had been at my job for about 4 years. I had actually just made my 4 year anniversary in May. And then in June, at the beginning of June, this past June 2025, I was informed that, due to all of the changes and, my company was going under like an M&A, a merger and acquisition, that I was going to be one of the roles impacted and eliminated. Um, and interestingly enough, this happened to me while I was on a work trip. It happened to me literally the day after I was at the BET Awards actually in LA. I had just brought a bevy of talent from one of my shows there and had them participating over the weekend in several events. So I was exhausted and I was so consumed in doing that honestly I did not even know that, obviously we had known that like layoffs were coming, but it's always kind of the timeline and the timing is always kind of like hush hush and like, you hear it through the grapevine. So I didn't even know that the timing was happening then because I was busy working. I'm busy making all these moves and doing all these things. And it honestly wasn't until I woke up that morning and, in the text chain that I have with some of my former employees, most of us who were like at the director and senior director level, um, when I saw a whole bunch of like, sending love and strength to everyone today and stuff, I was like, oh gosh, what's happening? And that's when I realized, oh, okay, like it's coming today. And so now again, I was in LA. I typically work out of our East Coast office in New York. So I thought that, I was fine. I had heard about one of my teammates being eliminated or two of them being eliminated. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I haven't heard anything. I'm okay. It was well after 9 a.m. on the East Coast. So I figured, oh, if I haven't heard anything by now, I'm fine because usually if it happens like very early in the day. So I'm just trekking along, getting my day started, and it totally once I saw my big boss call me, I knew that something was up, and it totally did not hit me that I was in LA and on LA time, so they were waiting for 9 a.m. LA time to call me. So while I was thinking I was safe because it's past 9 a.m. on the Eastern time, um, they were just waiting for, the appropriate because they knew I was still in LA on a work trip. So yeah, so I got the call. And it was interesting because normally when things of this nature happen, you get the call from your like direct supervisor, which for me would have been like my SVP. This was like our big boss, our EVP, that called me, and I was like, oh wow, like, they had, you know, she said she wanted to deliver the message to me personally. So, um, you know, okay. So yeah, that's kind of how it all went down. I think that I didn't initially I didn't feel like upset. I wasn't like sad or anything because I think sometimes when you kind of know, when your time has expired somewhere. I knew a while ago that it was time for me to move on, had thought about it, had actually been, you know, not really looking but entertaining other opportunities, and just you get offered another project that you love, and you get all these promises and all these offers. You get the promise of the promotion, the promise of the raise. You get comfortable, um and you just stay. And I had outstayed my welcome, really. And so I was not sad or upset. I just was more so shocked. You think, oh, I'm one of the highest performing ones. I work probably the hardest on the team, to be honest and fair. I'm always going to be safe. And these are things that I had even been told by my VPs and my SVPs, like, you would never be one of the ones let go, like, never. But it, in fact, did come to my doorstep. So, just as you are saying, I am entering month 5 now of being laid off or unemployed.
So that is a lot to take in. One, being on a work trip. So the typical question I always ask is, what do you do in your first 30 days of being laid off? But for you, I want to know what you do in the first 24 hours. Because if I was you, baby, this this
Girl.
this work credit card is still running. What we about to do? Because what you gonna do? Who gonna check me, boo?
Well, listen, I will say I was technically still on the work trip, and so the work credit card was still working, and it still worked. That's all I'm gonna say. So it worked.
Fair,
It
fair.
worked.
So
Okay.
what was that first 30 days like though?
Yeah, the first 30 days, I mean, it was definitely one of those where it's like I was really I really had to like get comfortable. It was a little weird, I will say. I was kind of like, wow, like the routine that I'm used to every single day. I had gotten so really like wrapped up in my identity of my career and my title and the work that I was doing. So that first 30 days, when that routine wasn't the same, it felt kind of like weird. I was like, oh, like, what am I supposed to be doing? But in the same vein, that first 30 days, it was a lot of just like really sitting, okay, figuring out, kind of like talking to myself and saying, okay, do you want to go ahead and fully start immediately looking for something else, or like what do you feel like you need right now? And so, thankfully I was, blessed to have a severance package, and obviously I was let go in like the dead of the summer. Honestly, the first 30 days on my birthday was within the first 30 days afterwards. So, for the summer, honestly, those first 30 days, I really gave myself the gift of like rest. I had like my soul and spirit hadn't really felt that in the longest time. And at the point that was laid off, I was facing extreme burnout and stress. So the first 30 days I rested and honestly like leaned into my community and had fun. Like I didn't even think about, like, I just had fun, and I let my community kinda, like, love on me.
How did that love look from your community?
Oh my god, it was just an outpouring from, obviously, I expected my closest, my family, my nearest and dearest, but it was even an outpouring from people who, I hadn't talked to in a while, people who I didn't even know saw me, or, were watching me or paying attention to me, paying attention to my posts and following my career. So it was a lot of people, hitting me up to offer me like, what do you need from me? Can I refer you to this person? Can I refer you to next person? It felt great. Even my family, my mom was like, I'm here, come right on back, come back home. Like, she was a little bit too ready for me to come home, to be honest. Um Yeah, I mean, people just, really like lifted me up, poured into me, sent me prayers, um, talked to me about, just what they just pouring into me, like pouring into my spirit. Um, Even people being like, well, like, let me take you out for lunch. Like, no, don't worry about paying anything. I was like, well, I'm still getting severance. Like, let me handle it until I can't handle it. And they were like, no. So that's just really been an extreme blessing to be able to have that privilege to know that I have support.
So did you do what everyone's doing now, which is the LinkedIn post where you announce, "Hey, I got laid off." Did you do it on Instagram? Did you do it on all your socials? Like, tell me, like, how did you notify your community that this transition occurred?
Yeah, I only did it on LinkedIn because I mean that's where I'm like my most professional, although my career does kind of interweave into all of my socials, but I did it on LinkedIn. So I did a post, obviously, and it was more of like a celebratory thing for me, just after 4 years, my time has ended, but and it was really how I felt. I was like, I'm not sad. I'm not upset. I'm looking forward to change. I'm looking forward to something new. Honestly, in that first week, at the end of the first week, I was on my way to ABFF, American Black Film Festival. So I also put that in my post and like let my community know, hey, if you're gonna be there, hit me up. Let's connect. Just kind of celebrating what the chapter was. So I did it there. I wouldn't say I formally like announced it anywhere else, but I have started like creating content that speaks to it, if you will. So I guess that's how I kind of announced. And most people, most of my friends and people, they saw on LinkedIn.
Okay, great. It's funny that you decided to kind of take that approach. I did the opposite and didn't
Hmm.
say anything. I just like put an end on my LinkedIn that, okay, this end, like, you know how you have on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and like, how many, like, are you still currently working there? I just put, no, I'm not working there anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my network they don't get notified when I change anything. It's funny. And I'm hearing that from a lot of Black women. There's a little bit of shame behind it. And it makes
Yep.
me like kind of think about, I love how you put it in terms of celebratory, because like I've shared with everyone on the podcast, I rolled around on the floor for sixty days before I finally said, okay, let me get up. So I still haven't quote unquote celebrated yet.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you have celebrated, and you made it about like, okay, I did these things these 4 years. So I think that's awesome,
Yeah.
Lauren.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, and it's crazy because I feel like at the point that I was off and it ended, I was on a high. I mean, I had all these projects that I, oversaw the publicity for, and we were on a roll. I mean, I had just really announced that the ratings for a show that I oversaw were like so amazing for that season premiere that we had an early renewal for the next, I was really on a high. So I think for me, it was just like, well, like if I'm going to leave, I'm leaving at the best time ever where I just like literally killed it and left like my name is written, like they know who I am, they know my work, they know what I'm capable of. So I felt like, I felt like a bad bee walking out of there. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like,
Clock it.
mic drop, mic drop. Yeah, for me, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had some challenging times there. I think as a lot of us Black women or Black people in general have in these corporate spaces, but there's also a lot of great things that came out of those 4 years. I was blessed with a lot of opportunities that I had prayed to have. I met a lot of great people. I had a lot of great people pour into me there. So I don't look at it as something like as a waste. So I was happy to just wrap it up and move on to the next thing.
Love it. So you mentioned that you got a severance. We always talk about money here.
Hmm.
How many months severance did you get?
I think it was about 4 months.
And
Yeah,
did you have the traditional 6 months of savings saved?
I did not.
How many months did you have, Lauren?
I think I maybe had like 2 to 3 months. And I probably would have had more, but I was paying off for a huge trip. to South Africa that I am soon taking with my mom. So, yeah, I only had about 3 months. However, God is so good because I have not yet had to tap into that savings.
Ooh, tell us why.
So my community, my support, I mean, with the severance, obviously, and then also, now at this point, getting the unemployment benefits from the state. But also just my community has been really great about supporting me, and mostly like my family, my really close, like my best friends. So again, like I said, my mom was like, there's no need for you to be like paying rent or something, like, the doors open, like come back home. So that, that was a savings there. And then, once I got here, anytime I ever come home, there's never really much of an expense anyway, because, my aunts and my mom were just like, we're so close that whenever we do something, everyone, oh no, I'll pick up the tab. Oh, I'll pick up so it just um it's been really great to be here in this community and have this community of support, because it has helped me be a little bit more financially responsible
Mm.
during this time, and it's honestly helped me save. Like, I don't think I would have been able to survive had I not. And I think that for me was the shame. The shame was like, I've always seen like, oh, coming back home as like shame. And this time I was just like, I had to release the shame in that, like you really said earlier, and it was just like, listen, this is the space that I'm in. I need to let my community help me and stop being feeling shameful for like having to take the help.
Where do you think that shame originates from?
I think that, for myself, and I definitely think it's true for other Black women as well. I think like we just have this thing where we feel like we have to have it all together. And I just think it's from a lot of societal pressures that have been put on us, especially in the workplace. Like, we don't have an opportunity to not have it together. We have to always perform higher and than everybody. And so I feel like we have just really gotten locked into having to have it all together, always being the ones to come to everyone else's rescue. So, it's sometimes it's an embarrassment for us to not have it together. Everyone puts the Black woman on a pedestal, as they should, okay? But when they put us on a pedestal, almost sometimes as if we aren't human ourselves, and as if we also don't need to be loved and taken care of ourselves. So I think sometimes we get locked into like a shame of feeling like we have to have it all together. We can't fail. We can't, we have to be perfectly in place.
Yeah, and I think with so many in our community now experiencing these losses, right? We got to remove the shame behind
Yes.
needing help, asking for help, financial
Yeah.
help, especially like, sis, listen, I tell my friends all the time, I don't have it. And if I can't come, don't feel bad about not inviting me. I'm sorry, I just don't have it right now. But if somebody want to sponsor me, I'm happy to take the sponsorship.
I'm available. Listen, like they say, closed mouths don't get fed. And I definitely was a person who like I never wanted to ask anyone for anything. And now I'm just like, well, I mean, if you so choose to bless me,
That part. So I was at Afrotech a couple of weeks ago,
okay.
and I had a regular ticket, and I said, "Oh, I really want an executive ticket. Like
Hmm.
I'm not paying executive ticket prices. Shout out to Morgan, sis. We love what you're doing over there, but that wasn't in my budget." So I reached out to quite a few people and said, "I'm gonna need that extra ticket. I'm gonna need that upgrade on my ticket because closed
I know
mouths
that's
don't get
right.
fed." And I wind up getting it. And I think just like what I want to encourage people to do, just like you're doing, like when somebody say come home or I want to feed you or I'm going to take care of this, please allow them to, sis. Allow people to love on you during this period of time because I'm
Yeah.
allowing people to do so. I'm asking, okay, if someone tells me no, I wait for about three of them before I move on. So just know it's okay. Closed mouths really do not get fed. Okay,
No,
so
they don't. And I think about it too. And for me, like, I'm not gonna even lie to you, Kamika. It's almost been a little therapeutic for me and like helping me to unpack myself and relearn myself in this total like rebrand, because I have always been the person that shows up for people and shows up for my community and shows up for them extra hard, like literally will break my back for my community. So right now, this is the time where I need my community. So guess what? Like, yeah, I am going to let them show up for me because I am the one who always returns this favor. Always does it when no one needs asking. So yeah, now it's my turn. I need the favor back, and I am gonna like, I'm gonna let people show up for me, and that was hard for me to do at first, but now I feel real good about
I
it.
love that. So you talk about your rebrand. So tell us what you've been up to since you've been let go.
Sure, yeah. So by the grace of God, I've, been doing some freelance projects for just some of my, great friends and just different industry colleagues and contacts that, I've made along the way. And honestly, if I wouldn't have put out that LinkedIn post, some of these things wouldn't have come about. When I put out the LinkedIn post, I had about two or three of my industry colleagues who have their own businesses or own agencies or whatever, as well as publicists. So they reached out to me like, "Oh my God, so sorry, but like I have some projects coming up. If you would, if you're open for them, of course I am open for business." So that's been a blessing. But honestly, I've been using this time to really reassess and rethink what my thoughts and what my identity is, and like having it married to my career. So I've been stepping into really rebranding my whole kind of identity, not just being like Lauren, the publicist and the communications executive, but creating content, doing things that like I've always loved to do. Really stepping into the creator space and what that looks like for me, because if you are not looking at how the creator space is already booming and about to, just get crazy, like you need to tap into it some kind of way. But also looking at how I offer my skill sets up. So, at the top of the year, I will start to offer more of like consulting packages, webinars, personal, like one-on-one intimate consulting and coaching for, brands, but also I always get a lot of people that hit me up about getting into this industry, how to get into this industry, what they should do. So like career coaching, also offering, my own services out there. So just really rebranding myself and almost kind of selling myself instead of always being the one to build other brands up. I want to build up my own brand.
So are you trying to go back to corporate?
I think that's something that I'm wrestling with. Right now, I feel like I really am enjoying the space that I am. Like I'm enjoying the consulting and the freelancing because it's giving me the opportunity and the time to really focus on my rebrand. However, I will say if the perfect opportunity came that I felt like was the perfect opportunity for me, because there's no perfect one, I wouldn't not entertain it. You know what I mean? But I don't want to go back into corporate in the way that I was. No.
So what way was that, and what way are you working to be prepared to enter back into that space?
Sure. So before in the corporate space, and I think it's just also like a mindset shift for myself, like not attaching myself so heavily to a corporation and thinking that like, oh, I owe everything to them. Because now I also feel like in this journey has really made me think differently about the relationship of like employee employer. Um and I really feel like a lot of times we attach so much to our employer that it's like, oh, we owe them everything. I have to do this to keep my job. This is what they said. Like, but there's also something that I think an employer owes us as employees. So I think I look at it now more as like a collaboration, a partnership. Yes, I am working for you, but you should also be working for me as well as my employer, because I have a skill set that I could take to any company, really. You know what I mean? I chose you and you chose me. So like how do we partner on this thing? And I think before I've always thought about like my employer as my boss, the one who brings the hammer down, like you know what I mean? So I think now looking to go into another corporate space, like how I think about an employer has kind of shifted. And I think going if I was to go back into a corporate space, I also want to go back into a space where I'm not just like siloed and segmented into one kind of function, if you will. So before it was strictly like publicity comms, but I would love to be able to be in like a space where it touches on a little bit of everything. And I think maybe that might not even be going into like a corporate. I was in-house. That might even be going to an agency because sometimes at agencies you are able to switch it up like that. So just kind of like rethinking if I was to go back into a corporate space, what would that look like? I don't think I want to go back into film and TV, which is where I was. Just so much is happening there. So just really thinking about what that looks like. Like, is it going back in a consumer space, a tech space? Like what does that look like? And I think that's where I'm kind of just struggling to figure out.
That's fair. I think with everything happening right now, it's a lot to digest and figure out what is the best strategic next step.
Right.
So there's no perfect job. We've come to that conclusion after this round of layoffs, I think, and
Yeah.
we could be the perfect employee and still not, work for the perfect employer. So
Yep.
I think that shift is happening a lot, and I'm excited to see what comes on the other side of this shift because it's not just you who are thinking this way, it's a lot of us who are thinking this way.
Yeah,
So
100%.
so you say you've been making content. Can you tell us what you've been making content about, Lauren?
So just my life, really. I've also been documenting. I've started like a health and wellness journey. That's one of the really beautiful things about this time period. I just really got back into pouring into myself and things that like I had forgotten that I really wanted to focus on as a goal. And so I have always had this just like love hate relationship with fitness and like weight loss. It's been like an up and down journey forever. And I said this time, I was like, no, I'm really going to do something about it and I'm going to stick to it. And so literally immediately, well, I should have said that. That was my first 30 days. Like immediately after I was laid off, I really got into a very strict like health and fitness routine and it's been great so far. I'm like 50 pounds down. So that is awesome. And I've been like documenting that and sharing that for people. And just sharing, I very much love to just like empower, elevate, and lift up other women, primarily women of color. So just, sharing like a lot of motivational content, whether that be through sharing my different like fashion, beauty routines, or just different like empowering events that I'm attending. I just went to a really beautiful gala that was to empower and uplift women of color. So, just kind of sharing my life and my story and my journey and hopefully people seeing that if you're going through a rebrand, a pivot, like it doesn't have to look like you're like depressed and then like you can still have joy, you can still have fun, like you can still like live your life and still be figuring out a season of uncertainty.
I love that. I love that message. I love that you don't have to look like what you're going through. There is still joy in everything that we choose to do daily. So
Yes.
I'm so excited when you had shared with me that you were going through your own health journey and you had lost this weight. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get on it. My sis is inspiring me. Okay.
Do
So,
it, girl. Do
girl,
it.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Listen, I got some goals, y'all, because that 20 pounds found me the first 60 days I was rolling around and it has not left me. I needed to leave me immediately. Last question, or a couple of last questions. How would you like the community to save you? What are you looking for? What's the ask from this community?
The ask from the community is just, I would love if you guys could just follow me and just really engage with me. Because I really just I want to really build this community for other women, particularly, like I said, women of color. And so I really want to be able to just inspire and lift up. Like, I do really want people to see that, like, even if you're going through a period of, pivoting, like, it's okay. And like, we are here to help and support each other. So, I really would love for people to engage with me, continue to support my journey. Let me know how I can support your journey. Um, and yeah, help me build this thing.
I love it. So we are going to lean heavily into the S for Lauren in terms of supporting. Where can the people find you at, Lauren?
Sure. So I'm at Miss Lauren Page on Instagram, Threads, at Miss L Page, 𝗟𝗂𝗿𝗲 Page on TikTok. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Lauren Woolard. Yeah, let's just get into it. I'm gonna start doing like these webinars and conversations soon, just talking about different topics that I think we as women of color are going through, and I would love to hear from the community what you guys are dealing with and want to discuss.
I love it. So we are all about community here at Black Women Will Save Black Women. There is no competition. I want y'all to go support, hear what Lauren is saying on her pages. Like, we are really going to build community during this time. I
Yeah.
am so adamant about this because they want us to be tearing each other down. We are going to
Mhm.
really show them that we are lifting each other up during this time. We'll drop all of Lauren's links and stuff in the episode information so you can find her. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us today for
Thank
this
you for having me.
conversation.
I'm so excited that you invited me here and we got to do this. And I'm just sending so much love to you and your journey. This is so needed. So y'all make sure to follow Kamika and the Black Women Will Save Black Women podcast, okay? Because we are gonna save each other.
I know
And
that's
she's
right.
doing the work. She is doing the work.
Thanks, sis. I appreciate it. So, Lauren came and dropped some real jewels. I just loved everything that she had to say, especially around us not having to look like what we're going through. I'm excited to continue to follow her journey, especially from a health perspective. And just to see her being joyful. I think that joy is a great resistance strategy, especially during this time. So, lean into the joy, y'all. And for our last segment of the week, I want to focus on our save strategy. We are going to focus on the S today, and the S is centered around support, not having to just be financial. The holidays are difficult, y'all, especially in a season of job loss. Like I shared earlier, I've never been unemployed during the Christmas holidays. And I keep just thinking of what do I really need during this time? And what I keep going back to is I need real community. So for those of you who weren't in this position maybe a year ago, and you're struggling and trying to figure out what should I be doing, I want you to write down 3 things that you really need, 3 things that you really want, and 3 things that you can give during this holiday season. Be super specific and honest with yourself. This is an exercise in figuring out what is really important to you for the next 2 months because 2026 is about to come in here kicking in the door and being rude. So, for those who are listening that can offer an extra hand this season, encourage your circle to also do this exercise. So, this is not just for those who are currently not working. I want others to do the exercise because you can exchange the information amongst the group. And the results itself might surprise you because you might be able to show up for people in a way that you may not have even thought about. You might be able to do more, give more than you actually think. So that's all I have for this week's episode. So, a reminder to support, amplify, validate, elevate. That's how we save. And never forget, Black women will save Black women. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard. See you next week in the sanctuary.